Oh, I have become a crazy person since the election of November 8th, 2016, another day that will live in infamy. Not many of us Americans remember much of anything, it seems, from history. Why? Did the Trump supporters sit in the back of the room and nap with dribble cascading down their privileged flesh? Or did they cause so much trouble that conscientious students had to strain to hear? Daydream of owning empires? Lose all sense of a moral compass? I hope to God it wasn't my former students who did this to us. I first realized I was descending into madness when I looked around the other day and I saw flags flying at half-staff. Oh, I nodded knowingly, and then I realized it was Pearl Harbor Day. We know the number of people who died on December 7th, 1941. We know how that day affected people. We still don't know the body count on this latest thing, the presidential election. And half of America, they don't even know it is a thing. One of my beloved ones is a veteran, and he doesn't know. He called to check on me yesterday. He's not one to talk much on the phone, but maybe he had suspected my pending descending into madness. "What are you doing?" he asked. "I'm decorating the Christmas tree and listening to Christmas music," I responded. Good, he said. Toward the end of the conversation, I broached the subject of the new thing. I could almost hear him sigh. He responded with his standard answer of remaining neutral politically. "You don't understand. I'm 70 years old. I've never seen anything like this in my life." I think I must have sounded like I was drowning. He himself was winded. He was rushing back to his office in D.C. so that he wouldn't go past his allotted lunch break. He's an Eagle Scout, you see. He has a family to feed, and I love him beyond measure. He started into his gotta go part of the conversation. Wait, I said, "Would you pick me up a few things? An Obama mug, perhaps, or something with his name on it, his picture, before they're all gone?" Sure, love you. And then he was gone. He was a top student and member of his high school academic team. He should have known better. Oh, I was having a pity party yesterday. Somehow I'd managed to latch on to some soul-gripping Christmas music channel on my smartphone while searching for O Come, Emmanuel. It followed with Mary, Did You Know? And Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, which is a tearjerker for me. In 1964, it played as part of the score of a movie in which executions took place during World War II, and it was being shown. The high school friend who sat in front of us in the theater died that weekend from a drowning accident. Later, we would all think that at least he didn't die in Vietnam. I know that sounds terrible, doesn't it? But it was the way we thought about it back then. At my 50th reunion a few years back, some of my former classmates and I talked about what happened on November 22nd, 1963, when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. This was before integration in the Deep South, so I was a senior at an all-white high school. When the president's death was announced over the intercom, the vast majority of the students stood up and cheered. It was a big 2-story brick building, and you could hear the resounding whoops of glee coming from all over in all directions. I checked out of school as soon as it was announced that we could. I also checked out of a lot of friendships that day. Only a handful of us were devastated, and we soon became a small band of brothers. I had loved JFK since the 9th grade, when for a school assignment I had taken notes during those famous debates between him and Nixon. I was attending a small Catholic high school in Louisiana then, and our civics teacher inspired us to pay attention to politics. Now those were some debates. I sure as hell don't want to talk about the night of November 8th, 2016, but for the sake of history, I must. My husband and I live in our ubiquitous red-style home in Raymond, Mississippi, where a Civil War battle took place during the Vicksburg campaign. My husband is a subject of the Queen of England and cannot vote. So I was by myself in the living room watching CNN. My husband, the documented alien, had gone to bed. He has to leave for work early. He has to leave at 4:45 each workday. I'm retired, and he has me and the cats to feed. And I do have my Social Security and my state retirement, but who knows how long that's going to last. My daughter, whom my Republican cousin governor has called Hillary since she was 12 years old, and we know we're talking about Erin here, was texting with me. My retired school teacher cousin, also an avid Democrat, was going back and forth with me with emails. And she disdains cell phones, so I have to communicate with her that way. By 10 p.m., there was no doubt that the impossible had happened. My alien husband, after walking down the hall to pop loo, as they say, go to the restroom, stumbled across the living room on his way to the screen porch to smoke a fag. And some of you know that's what they call cigarettes in England. He instinctively knew that something was amiss and plopped down on the sofa beside me. We haven't been this dumbfounded since 9/11 or when Hurricane Katrina tore the roof off of our home. I think it must have been around 2 a.m. when we headed back down the hall. My daughter and my cousin were incredulous, as we were. Pantsuit Nation, other groups, we were all just stunned, as I know many of you were. How had this vile, unprepared individual won the election? The days following have seemed to all run together. Almost immediately there was talk of a Million Women March in Washington to protest Trump's win. I got my plane ticket to D.C. before the prices went up too high. The Women's March on Washington. Hell yes, I was going. My daughter and I were going to take our 12-year-old daughter, the one you just met a minute ago, my wide-eyed, wonderful granddaughter, whose other grandparents happen to be Muslims from Turkey. We'll be part of history, this little beloved said to me when I drove to Texas to visit for the last 2 weeks of November. It was good therapy for me to care for the 4 Austin grandchildren, but now it just seems a blur. I was in Texas because daughter Hillary and her boyfriend had gone to India to a wedding. On the way, they had a layover in Zurich, and Hillary texted a picture of the front page of a newspaper bearing the president-elect's picture, in which proclaimed, and I can't speak German, "On der Welt," end of the world. And I whispered, "As we know it," but none of us felt fine. Thanksgiving Day, my older daughter, Aunt Jin, had voted for the emperor with no clothes. I love her dearly, and she had been through a terrible week because she had been made redundant after being in a job for about 7 years because of a corporate takeover. So basically, we were trying to cheer each other up. So we were taking the turkey from the oven, and Jen goes, "Aha! I'm taking a picture of this turkey and putting it on Hillary's Facebook page." This is a family inside joke because Hillary, we know that's Erin, is a vegetarian. In fact, cousin governor used to threaten to send her deer sausage made from deer that he had actually killed. Then it happened. "Wait," said Jen, "has Hillary unfriended me on Facebook?" Well, I hate to tell you that, and I didn't want you to find out on Thanksgiving, but yes. "That heifer," exclaimed Jen. I just stood by sheepishly. "Is it because I voted for him?" "Yes," I admitted. We ate our nice dinner, and I volunteered to take all 4 children to the nearby park where, while Dak Prescott continued to work his Dallas Cowboy magic. Jen and I both love football, but I wanted to give her some peace and quiet. She'd had a bad week. The park was lovely, and I had many happy thoughts as I sat there while the children played. Austin is such a cool city, and I think every demographic was represented on the playground that day. Can't we all get along? Yes, we can. There's no hate in my state, I thought. But there is hate, and it's deep-seated. and it has been dormant since November 22nd, 1963 or thereabouts. I just didn't know it, and knowing it, it hurts like hell. We were the last ones to leave the park. The full moon and the posh lanterns led our way back to the apartment building. The 4 grandchildren, despite their age differences, were skipping along and laughing together. Then from a balcony in the apartment across the way, we heard a young male voice, probably a University of Texas student who had elected to stay home for the holiday, give a proper Tarzan yell, as my husband would say. The oldest granddaughter answered him with her pre-adolescent call. He answered in kind. We were all laughing so hard. A middle-aged couple who were walking their dog joined in to the merriment. It felt like the French Quarter in New Orleans, the city that care forgot. For a moment, we were all lost in that world, and we felt fine about it. Later, after everyone had left or gone to sleep, I began to reflect on other times in my life when I had felt alienated from my own country. Is this America? Mississippian Fannie Lou Hamer asked at the Democratic National Convention in Atlantic City, New Jersey, in 1964. There were no Trump casinos back at that time. I question America. Is this America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, where we have to sleep with our telephones off the hooks because our lives be threatened daily, because we want to live as decent human beings in America? Where am I 5 weeks into this nightmare? I'm asking the same question that Fannie Lou Hamer asked all those years ago. Now with new allegations of Russians tampering with our elections. The Russians were the boogeymen of my nightmares when I was the same age that my older granddaughter is now. Suddenly the Russians are back. But you know what? None of us, everyday people, whether Americans or Germans or Russians, or even on this chessboard, none of us. And that is why this whole mess seems off to me and is different from anything that's happened in our history. I've never been much on conspiracy theories, although my hero JFK was embroiled in some major goings-on that we may never even know about, including Norm Regime. But something is rotten in Denmark. I know it with every fiber of my being, and not just because I have a master's degree from a prestigious little college. The hairs on the back of my neck are standing up from the weariness that has served us humans well since we have stood upright. Above all, I am a teacher, and others like me will lead the charge. Let it be observed that people like Donald J. Trump, who didn't apply themselves in school, who cheated their way through life, who recklessly destroyed thousands of lives for financial gain, who lied to get their way, who couldn't be bothered to take their daily responsibilities seriously, and he showed no sense of remorse or responsibility. Let it never happen again that someone of his kind would be allowed to gain this type of power in the United States of America. And thank you very much, and I don't know where Erin is to